Hello and welcome to Goddess Resurrection. My name is Britta and I am your host. And today's episode is on the bigger picture. The bigger picture, which is the feminine energy way of thinking. Before we dive in, hello, my gorgeous goddess. How are you? I hope you are so well and you've been breathing and feeling as the vibrations have been coming in super high. We are massively ascending. Remember, it's a process, right? So even though just within the past few days, we've had influxes coming in of 8th dimensional, 9th dimensional frequency, which that is super high. It doesn't mean we're all going to be popping up 8th vibrational night and day, right? It's a process. It is just beginning to settle in. Our bodies have to absorb it slowly. Our nervous systems have to adjust to it slowly. So make sure you rest when your body asks for it. Make sure you are listening, paying attention to yourself, and give yourself that grace, give yourself that love, give yourself that support. And believe me, nothing is more important. At this point, nothing is more important than your ascension, because that's where all the good stuff happens. Good. Now let's dive in. So the feminine energy. Is there thinking in the feminine energy? Yes, there is. It's different. It's different thinking. So let's use the example of one of my favorite all-time TED Talks. It is Stroke of Insight by Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor. She's a brain researcher. And so Dr. Taylor observed herself having a stroke. She was having a stroke. And in this TED Talk, she is explaining how, because the stroke happened, I believe it was in her left hemisphere, right? The masculine. And then the activity kept switching back and forth between her hemispheres. So she's in the middle of having this stroke. And when it switches back into the left hemisphere, which is the masculine, she's having awareness. She's like, oh, I got to call an ambulance. She's wanting to pick up the phone and dial the number, right? It's the speech and numbers and the understanding of this reality. But then it switches back into the other hemisphere, into the right hemisphere. And all of a sudden, she's in vibrational awareness. And she looks at her hand and her arm, and it's turning into vibration. And she's shifting out of her body, and she's experiencing the bliss and the oneness consciousness and the warmth and the love. And then switches back into the left hemisphere, and she's like, I'm going to die. I have to call an ambulance. It's a fascinating TED Talk. Fascinating. I strongly suggest you check it out. She describes the two hemispheres as having completely different personalities, which that's the truth. We know this. But as she, over the years, and I've been following her for years, as she was diving deeper into research, once she had recovered, she then also found that within the left hemisphere, within the masculine, which we consider thinking, there is also emotion. There's also a small part to the brain that stores emotion. But interestingly enough, this is all of the memory. Good, bad, indifferent, all of the memory of everything that we've ever experienced. Hence, conditioning, right? Remember, all of the conditioning is from and within the masculine energy, because it's everything we've ever seen, felt, heard, experienced. Then, as she's looking into the right hemisphere, the feminine, which is the feeling, right? The sensing, the expansion into the soul, she then recognized that there's also thinking, a small part that's thinking. But interestingly enough, this thinking that's in the right hemisphere is actually in alignment with this higher self. It's in alignment with highest truth. It's in alignment with the understanding of who we really are. It is much more in alignment with, let me give you some examples, and I strongly suggest you write this down. You should be taking notes so that you can refer back to it. You should have a notebook. If you care about your ascension, write things down, because you will get triggered and you will get dragged back into old ways, and we'll get into that in a second. But let's come back to the thinking of the feminine energy, the right hemisphere. It's in alignment with your soul. It's in alignment with your higher self. And so when you're thinking from this place, it is never emotionally charged. So whenever you're triggered, whenever you're emotionally flooded, whenever you're charged emotionally, you cannot access this thinking, right? Because always remember, emotion will block the way. Left hemisphere thinking will block the way as well, right? So masculine energy thinking and emotional flooding will block the way into your feminine energy thinking, into your higher soul aligned thinking. Whenever you're emotionally flooded, the golden rule is you have to process your emotion first. How do we process emotion? We don't think into it. Breathe and feel, breathe and feel. Don't think. This emotional flooding is needing to be processed, which means you address it as energy. You don't judge it, you don't fear it, you don't try to escape it, you don't try to do anything other than with it, than feel. Letting yourself feel it, breathing into it, letting yourself acknowledge what it is that you're feeling. Try not to think into it. Your brain, your ego is gonna wanna go into blame, shame, judgment mode. That's how the ego deals with emotion. Don't let it. You have to make sure you keep yourself out of the thinking. If you have to do jumping jacks to get out of your head, that's fine. That's fine. A little exercise won't hurt. And just come back into the breath, come back into the breath, be compassionate with yourself. Feel, 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 feel. Do not think into it. Now, once you're clear, once you're in a peaceful, centered state, this is the time and the place to be able to access your feminine, soul-aligned, higher self-aligned thinking. And so it's always going to be as if you're wanting to find a better way, to see something. What is the higher perspective for me to take here? How can I respond to this from my highest self, from my highest light? What do I need to know about this situation right now? Is there something for me to learn? Is there something for me to go deeper with myself? What is it that I am supposed to do in this situation? Now, as you can see, it's not so much thinking, it's more asking questions, right? It's seeking out something. It's seeking out something higher, something better. How can I respond better, higher, lighter? How can I see this from my highest perspective? How can I bring in that bigger picture perspective, right? Because remember, bigger picture perspective is feminine energy thinking. You're not getting caught up in the details of the details, which that's masculine. And that's what the ego does. It's going to want to blame. It's going to want to shame. It's going to want to judge and focus on the details as to why that's correct. Whereas feminine energy thinking is this. We're seeing from the higher self. We're seeing it from the soul's perspective, the lessons that are meant to be learned, the karma that is meant to be cleared, the choices that are meant to strengthen and elevate, right? Because when we're thinking from this feminine energy alignment, we're thinking from the soul, we're thinking from the higher self, we're seeing the bigger picture. We're understanding that, yes, of course, there are many other perceptions, there are many other views, that 1,000 different people could have 1,000 different views. But when we're coming from the bigger picture, the higher self, soul, self-aligned thinking, not only are we seeing all of the different perspectives, but we're also seeing the highest perspective. There's always more to the story. There's always more underlying energies, underlying influences, secondary gain. There's always more, right? And feminine energy thinking is also gratitude, right? It's you having gratitude for your blessings, having gratitude for something that happened that was a beautiful gift, having gratitude for having a roof over your head, having gratitude for having a full fridge, having gratitude for having wonderful friends, or right? So, sometimes it's also just about gratitude itself. Feminine energy is also about acknowledging the moment, acknowledging the savoring of an experience. When you received kindness from somebody, to savor that. That's feminine energy. To connect with animals, to connect with the earth, paying attention. That's feminine energy. Noticing the beauty of the moment, noticing the beauty of the sunset, noticing the beauty of a flower, noticing the smell, the scent of a flower, noticing the joy of children. That's also feminine energy. And this is a new language. This is a new language that you must learn. It's time to level up. It's time to level up. These frequencies that are coming in that are so, so, so high are no joke. And the faster you begin to work with it, the easier and more effortless you will level up. So let's give some examples. Let's say, for example, you're facing a challenge. Let's say something happens and your car breaks down and you don't have the money to fix it. And you're like, oh, and your ego is going to want to go into victim, or your ego is want to go into defeat, or your ego is going to want to go into fight, flight, or your ego is going to want to go into, whatever the stories that are a part of your conditioning. And so to access this feminine energy thinking, to access this higher self, soul-aligned thinking, means speaking and thinking from the higher wisdom, from the higher truth, which means in that moment, you say to yourself, and you say from this higher place, remember, everything always happens for you. Remember that you can trust your soul. Remember, you say to yourself, I'm saying you, but you say to yourself, I can trust my higher self orchestration. I can trust my light orchestration. So there's a reason why this is happening. Is it karma that I'm having to pay back? Or is it me learning to trust to deeper levels? Because in the end, it'll work out. Or maybe this was protecting me for this to happen now, instead of somewhere on the freeway where I could have had an accident and died. Right? So reminding yourself of the trust, reminding yourself of the co-creation, reminding yourself to learn to stay steady, learn to stay peaceful, learn to stay trustful and not freak out. And again, if you're freaking out, it's okay. Deal with the emotions. Process, process, process. Feel, feel, feel. But do not indulge these ways of thinking. This is the way of thinking that will pull you back down into lower vibration. It's what will pull you back down into old paradigm patterning. The way you stay steady, the way you keep maintaining yourself in your peace, in your trust, in your center is by reminding yourself that it's going to work out. It's going to be okay. Maybe this is a test that I am giving myself, right? Because we're giving ourselves tests all the time to see how are we going to react. Because the key is to stay peaceful. The key is to get so trust aligned that, okay, it'll work out, right? It'll work out. Not to do that downward spiral any longer. And when you can stay in that trust, when you can stay in that awareness of that, all right, well, let's see. Maybe I'm supposed to meet somebody at the repair shop, right? It could be all sorts of different, unknown to you, possibilities. And so the more that you stay in that way, in that attitude, in that alignment of thinking and reminding yourself of these higher truths, the higher you level up, because now you're passing your tests. It's not an outside force testing you. No, it's you, your soul, your higher self, making sure you're ready to stay in that alignment, making sure you're ready to hold that vibration so that you can shift to a higher timeline. That's what all of this is about. Remember, it's just an illusion, but your ego and your old way of thinking is going to keep you wanting to believe that this isn't a reality, this illusion is reality, and that you must freak out. Let's use another example. Let's use an example of something great is happening, right? Something new. Something new, because we're talking about we're leveling up. We're leveling up, we're expanding, right? We're growing, we're elevating, our vibrations are rising, which means we are going to shift into higher and better and newer and more elevated ways of living, work, making money, health, friends, fun, right? It's all just going to get better the higher we're leveling up. So yes, we're going to now start encountering situations that will be, right? You just know on a soul level that this is what's next for you. You know that you're meant to go down that road, right? You just know it because it lights you up. It lights you up. It gets you excited. It lights you up every time you think about it, every time you resonate with it, every time you're in that, yes, right? Lights you up. But because of the old way of lower vibrational normality, your body is gonna freaking wanna run the other way. Your nervous system is gonna wanna slam on the brakes, and your doubt and your sabotage and your fight flight and your coping mechanisms are gonna tell you, hell no, no way, we're not going down that road. No way, this could happen and this could happen, and what if this happens and what if that happens? Or we don't even know. How do we even know? We can't trust it. We can't believe it. We're not doing that. That's, again, the old ways of reacting, because your nervous system, your ego, your subconscious have no idea about this unknown, new thing, space, relationship, situation. And of course, these parts of you are going to ring the alarm bell. your nervous system is going to want to sabotage it. Your ego body is going to find any and all justifications as to why you should not do that. And again, in this moment, it's your job now, choosing this new language, choosing this higher alignment, choosing your new earth highest timeline frequency, choosing to now work with this moment. Work with this moment, which means you use the power of the pause. The power of the pause means you feel it, you hear the thoughts, you feel your knee-jerk reaction, you feel your body cringing, you feel the anxiety, you feel that desire to run away and never think of it again. Maybe your ego even is successful in having you fall back into old choices just to distract yourself. But your soul doesn't want you to fall back and stay in the low vibing old ways of the 3D any longer. Your soul wants you to be courageous. Your soul wants you to feel the fear and do it anyways. Your soul wants you to begin to think and speak from your soul, from your light, from your higher self, trusting what you already know is meant for you. And so the way in which you hold your vibration as high as possible as you're getting triggered into resistance, as you're getting triggered into sabotage, is again the power of the pause. You notice it all. You recognize the thoughts. You recognize the desire to react in a certain way. You recognize the shutdown or the running away, whatever it is for you. You know your patterning. And you just stay in observation. You just stay in feminine energy, because feminine energy is observation. You breathe and you stay in the pause. You don't do anything. You just let these parts of you flail and fight and go, ah! Let these parts of you freak out. You can't stop it. You don't indulge it. No, you just watch it. You just observe it with a smile on your face if you can, signaling to your body already that you're not buying it anymore. You're not drinking that Kool-Aid anymore, because your ego is want to tell you, your ego is going to want to tell you that this is the way. This is the way. This is the good old stuff. This is what you know. This is your identity. So stick with it. And you observe that too. You listen to that too, and you just stay in your breath, because there's no point in fighting it in that moment. No point in fighting it. Stay in your breath, stay in your observation of it. No, it'll pass. It'll pass if you can just stay with it, if you can just breathe and observe it, be as kind and as compassionate and as supportive with yourself as possible, knowing that this is just you outgrowing the old. And from this space of higher self, from this space of soul-aligned thinking, you're just holding space for these parts of you that are scared, these parts of you that are freaking out because all the horrible things that could go wrong, all the horrible things that could happen. And you just smile. Don't do anything, just observe, stay in the breath, stay in the self-support. Right? And then as it subsides, because it will, if you're not thinking into it, if you're not indulging it, it'll pass quickly. It'll subside. And this is when you show yourself grace and you remind yourself of that that's just the old patterning. It's just your ego. It's just your nervous system not knowing what to expect, from this expansion, not knowing what to expect from this unknown, from these higher levels of existing. And it's okay. It's okay. It's going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And sometimes that 1 step back feels like you've gone nowhere, when in truth, you've come so far. You've come so far, and all you need to do is just stay accepting and unconditional. Stay unconditional with the old reaction. Don't think from it, don't speak from it, don't act from it. Just stay in the breath, unconditionally holding space from your soul, from your higher self, knowing it's normal. It's normal for these parts of you to react. And slowly but surely, everybody's coming along. Slowly but surely, all of these parts of you will adjust. And most importantly, that moment when you're holding space, that moment when you're practicing the power of the pause, that moment when you're not reacting at all, you're just staying in observation, breathing. In this moment, you are already soothing your nervous system. In this moment, you're already beginning to retrain your nervous system. In this moment, you are already telling your body, it's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay. It's fine. We're doing it anyways. And you're going to love it, because you will. Because that's the future. That's when, just think of it. Low vibrational is ego filling voids, ego identifications, fear, scarcity, versus higher vibration, oneness, love, compassion, vision, expansion, manifestation, abundance, health, joy, love. No-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It's just a new language. It's just a new language that you have to begin to really work with. When the clarity is there, work with it, creating that space for yourself to recognize that you want to come at it from a higher perspective, that you want to respond to it from your light, from your peace, from your center alignment. And also remember that sometimes you may need to just breathe and feel before you can actually get that clarity on how to perceive it anew from a higher perspective, how to respond from your light, how to deal with this situation to the highest and greatest good for all involved. Because first of all, if it takes a night or two sleeping over it, that's fine. You give yourself the time and the space that you need to find full clarity. Secondly, whenever you're choosing from this higher, clear soul alignment, whether it's thinking or speaking or making an actual choice, it's always going to benefit everybody involved. The other people might not like it because their egos want a different way. And they might fight it because their egos are wanting to keep the power. But that's just a part of you learning to trust what you know is best for you. You learning to trust that this is the way to choose. You learning to trust that this is the boundary to set. You learning to trust that this is the communication that I'm here to have. And also learning to trust that as people may fuss or fight and resist, in the end, you sticking to it, you staying in your alignment, you staying in your center, you staying and committing to this new language, choosing for your light, choosing for your sense of rightness, choosing for your worth, choosing for your peace, people will either leave your life or they will fall into line. They will. It's a universal law. It's a vibrational law. Because the more that you're choosing an alignment, the more you're leveling up and you're raising your vibration. So other people have no choice to either accept it or to walk. And in these frequency times, believe me, a lot of people are gonna wanna also level up. They're gonna wanna also step into alignment. And that's not your job to do that for them, but it is your job to live by example and to show that it's okay to be authentic and to live and speak and choose from the bigger picture perspective, which will inspire them to want to get there themselves. One more thing. When we're thinking in terms of bigger picture, feminine energy, higher self, soul alignment thinking, Deepak Chopra said this. He said, a positive mind is good, but a clear mind is better. And that's true. It's the truth, because this has everything to do with you mastering your mind, right? This has everything to do with you recognizing these old ways of thinking, these old ways of reacting, these old ways of dropping into old story conditioning, and not to indulge or engage it any longer, but to stay in the breath, but to stay in observation, but to stay in compassion and acceptance with the process, while reminding yourself that it is all part of the process. Everything is always happening for you. You are ascending, you are choosing from your highest self, and that is the way forward, while these old parts will slowly but surely adjust more and more and more. But those ways of thinking and those ways of reacting are going to dissolve more and more and more and more as you are managing to stay in the pause, stay in the breath, stay in the observation, holding space for yourself and your new language alignment. Thank you. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your comments. I love them. Please let me know if you have any questions, anything you want me to address, anything you want me to talk about, anything that you're having difficulty with. I'd be happy to address it. I'm here for you. I am here of service to this new earth process, which is happening individually within every single one of you. And as always, I am sending big hugs and kisses. Love and light blessings to you and yours. Ciao for now.